Hi, it's Ricky of Moshville Times here once again. Now, tonight we're doing something completely different, ladies and gentlemen. We do have a serious subject to talk about tonight, and it will not be my usual taking the mickey out of band members. Tonight we've got Matt and Ben from the Scottish branch, or some of the Scottish branch of the charity Heavy Metal Therapy. So, how the devil are you guys? And yeah, it's absolutely fantastic to meet you.
It's good to
Yeah,
be here, Ricky. Thanks for having us.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. Thanks so much. Thanks for giving us an opportunity to kind of tell some stories and take some questions. It's obviously something that's quite close to our heart,
Yeah.
and we love talking about it, mate. And that's ultimately what the whole thing's about. So
Well, I'm talking about it as well because what you don't know is I've actually got a diploma in CBT. So mental health is actually quite a big topic for me. It's a career I wish I pursued, counselling, but it's with the cost of living and everything like that. But anyway, I digress. We'll go into that. But I'm going to start with a really simple question then. What is mental health? How important is it? And how did you come to become involved with heavy metal therapy?
that's a few, mate. I know, like that's a lot. Remember,
Yes.
Who's
yeah.
taking that
So
first bet, me or you?
I suppose I suppose mental health is that sort of continuum of whether how good you feel within yourself, how connected you do feel to other people, how secure you feel, as well as all those other symptoms which you'll find in sort of books like the DSM-5 and ICD-10, or the medical side. So it's not just the medical side of it itself. It's not just having like depression, anxiety, psychosis. It's also like how you are feeling connected to you and other spots around. Um, it's incredibly important, mate. It is really incredibly important. If you kind of look back, it's an absolute foundation to how successful you are kind of as a person, how well you connect with the people around you, how well you kind of do jobs and education. And if you sort of, it's literally a disability for a lot of people when
Yeah,
you can't get out there
absolutely.
and do the things that mean something to you, because what is the point? And let's face it, like the worst mental health, it makes you feel not like you. It makes you feel not like yourself. You break it all down, and that can be absolutely horrific. And I, especially things like depression, I always think like if you break a leg, I know that's an often used like sort of example. If you break a leg, you know how that's going to heal, don't you? You don't
Yeah.
have mental health. The real killer here is you don't think it is going to heal.
Mhm.
And that's the thing that really does people, that sense of permanency, that sense of things never getting better. That is the real killer in like the kind of literal way. So I think mental health is incredibly important, and the more and more research kind of ties it in with physical health, and then physical health in with mental health. We're starting to realize, putting the whole like your social sort of like health as well, you've got
Yeah.
like three foundations, like a strong tripod, if you like, of kind of how strong you feel. So yeah, what do we do?
Matt, I don't know how the hell you can talk that. I think he actually knows what he's talking about, this boy. So what I'll do is I'll bring you into it by asking, how did you become involved with heavy metal therapy? You've probably been asked this 101 times, and then I'll come back to you, Ben, with that very same question. So how did you become involved with heavy metal therapy then?
Well, it was funnily enough by complete mistake. I started blogging about a year or 2 years ago, and I was going to write about my struggles with mental health and how I overcame that and my journey with mental health. So I reached out to a page called a meme page, I thought it was, called Heavy Metal Therapy, and then asked them to make a playlist for me. And then it ended up I wrote something for them that a week later was on their website, and it's sort of snowballed from there. But it's
So it's like
sent me on this.
you review an album, isn't it? It's like that, but you're talking about a lot of things personal. Is some feeling seeing something on a website, something that's published on a website? It must have been a wee bit of a proud moment, but also maybe a wee bit harrowing reading what you'd written.
Oh, absolutely, because I was thinking, I was doubting myself a lot. I'd never really seen my name published on anything apart from my own blog, which I kind of published stuff and then let it go. And if people feedback. But it was
Yeah.
interesting to have it sent out and have a website think that something I wrote was worthwhile to publish on their platform, which was incredibly flattering. And then it's
Yeah.
came into this friendship where I'm friends with Ben and the other founders, which is really fun.
No, absolutely cool. Thanks very much for that, Matt. What about yourself, Ben? How did you become involved?
I kind of came involved at about the same time I sort of started revisiting metal. I spent a lot of time quite disconnected from the music and from the culture, and that was through a lot of kind of life changes that I had, and my own mental health was just awful for a lot of my 30s. You tend to do a lot less, so I kind of lost the connection with gigs, with community. I moved city as well, and I got divorced actually, and was started listening to kind of metal. Like my way of processing again, like what was happening is I'd go for a drive and play like 36 Crazy Fists or something like that, really really freaking loud. And
That's not loud, by the way. That's not
yeah,
loud.
so that's not heavy, but so yeah, and then I came across the web page as well, and kind of like kicked myself, because actually turns out the people who were running it, I sort of said, do you want me to write something about my experience as a kid, because I was a bit very nuts as a kid. I've been very nuts for all my life, and about how metal really helped me, probably kept me out of some serious trouble.
Yeah.
Going to the clubs, I had serious anger problems, mate. And you know, like mosh pits and laughs and screams and the community, and you know, like really kind of help ground me, help keep me like in within myself. Like first time I ever heard Slipknot was just like a massive dose of antipsychotics. It was fantastic. So yeah, I had to do an article and carried on doing articles. And eventually they sort of said, do you want to help us like found this community interest company? And it's kind of weird because it turns out I actually know some of the co-founders.
Okay.
Well, I'm an ex-mental health nurse, ex-CBT therapist as well, actually. And it turns out we'd all worked in the same areas. We sort of knew each other. Like one of them, like Kate's like friends with two of my friends. And it just seemed like, I don't know, the links kind of formed then. And
Yeah.
I felt part of the community again. I felt like accepted. And honest to God, like Ricky, I do this because I get a kick out of it. I feel like I belong when I'm doing it. So that's why, mate.
It's funny though, like you think you're the only one in the world thinking these thoughts or having those feelings. Like when you're writing your blog, nobody else is feeling like this. But when you actually talk to other people, there's plenty of them. And there's plenty of people that you can talk to.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. So thanks very much. So what services or other charities have you partnered with where you can outsource people who they can contact and go to? Now, I know that this is a Scottish branch. I don't know if you want to name a couple of particular Scottish charities or companies that people can go to, or certainly mention like UK ones. What other charities?
Over to you, Matt. You're getting to know your patch really well, mate. This guy is stomping.
So, because of the heavy metal therapy and some of the different things that they've given me the opportunity to do, I've started volunteering with a charity called My Black Dog, and that's online peer-to-peer support. It's volunteers that have got their own problems with mental health, and you can go on and connect with one of the volunteers. It's all anonymous, and that was
Cool.
So with working with My Black Dog, it's an online charity. It's all online peer-to-peer support. So you come to the website, you give a brief reason why you're there, and you get connected to one of the volunteers. And it's something that Kate in particular pushed me towards because she kind of knows that I like helping people, and I've got my own different struggles and things, and that I wanted to give back. And I didn't want anyone to feel the way I did. And if I could help someone else to shine a light, then I wanted to be able to do that. And this has given me the opportunity to do that. Meanwhile, learning from the supervisors that are on shift, and because they are professionals in their field as well, and they're watching what you're saying and can give you feedback. So you've said that well, you could have said this differently. You could perhaps try and explore it this way. So it's getting to learn how to have different conversations that I've never had before. So it's an incredibly humbling experience getting to help people, because I get a lot from it. Even if I go on and I feel pretty down, I usually after it, if I've been able to help someone, I feel so much better, because I think I've sent them away and I've given them a bit of hope or a bit of light in the dark, which really just fills my cup, and I love it.
No, fair play to you, Matt. Fair play to you. How much of your own time, do you take with this charity, for example?
So you commit one evening a week, and they send that thing out every week saying this morning or this afternoon or night needs some more people, so you can volunteer to do a bit more. So it's one evening a week really. but you can do more if you want to help out. So it's really flexible that way. They're really good if you have something on. Like I go to a lot of gigs, so if I'm going to a gig and I want to swap to a different day, they're really fine with that. So it's a really flexible thing where they're wanting to look after you as well. So it's a fantastic community to be a part of, and I'm incredibly grateful to have been accepted by them, because it's something I'm learning a lot from, and I'm just really enjoying it.
No, great stuff. What's the charity called again?
It's called My Black Dog.
There you go. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. If you ever feel the need, there's a good testimonial from Matt for you. So go and check them out in all the socials, I'm sure. But Ben, do you have a similar story? Is there a charity that you work closely with?
Yeah, there's been a few we've kind of done stuff with. Metal for Good, fantastic. They do a lot of fundraising and helping other charities, which is similar to ours. We've got Sophie Lancaster Foundation, absolutely beautiful people. They've been fantastic. We've often we've generally worked Primordial Radio Festival, the AGM.
Yeah.
And they generally sort of accepted us. They even nominated us for an anti-hate award, which we won, which was like completely out of the blue. It was really nice. We did a piece of work called Somewhere I Belong, and I'll Lincoln Park drop there, where we did a gig guide for people, for venues and for people. So we had people coming from LGBTQ plus, people coming from mental health, people coming from sort of social deprivation, sort of in different areas, so vulnerable people who will talk about their experiences of gigs and what people can do. Is fantastic. I'm trying to remember, I'll stop. Another one, I mean, a really cool one that me and Matt did together was All the Black Sheep, wasn't it, mate? That was an absolute scream.
There's a bit of a funny story attached to that, actually.
Oh,
you're going to have to tell it now. You're going to have to tell it.
I'd said to Kate, I'll do Bloodstock next year because I thought I'll be more ready to do it. And then I was talking to Ben about it, and the wires got a bit crossed. Now because I thought I can't not do it, because if I'm asked, I would just kick myself. So I was absolutely. I've never been to a music derby to go with the Order of the Black Sheep, who we were working alongside, who are absolutely fantastic at what they do. Incredibly grateful that they let me have the opportunity to go along and work with them.
Yeah.
And it was as terrified as I was to go and do it. They just welcomed all of us with open arms. The shifts were getting to help people at the festival was fantastic.
Yeah.
It's even when we were there, I remember quite a few times I thought going and seeing the bands would be the highlight, and it wasn't. Being on shift for me was the highlight. Getting to talk to people, help people out, and send people away better than when they came to us, which was just a very humbling and kind of growing experience for me, because I'd never done anything like that before. Just thrown in at the deep end, and I absolutely loved it. Made some friends for life, I think, and I think if the opportunity ever comes up again, it's something that I'll definitely explore, because I got a lot from it, and I feel like I grew a lot from it as well.
Yeah. Do you know, Ben, he's like a vocalist for a band. I asked him one question and he's answered my next six. So,
because he can read the future.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Bloodstock, but I'll keep that for later on. But it's definitely vitally important to get the person you're interviewing to open up about their stories. I've seen that on your YouTube channel and everything. Like, so firstly, how do you get the people to interview? And secondly, do you find the person that you're interviewing feel safe and comfortable to talk about their own personal experiences?
Yeah, so I'll put this in the right order. So you can apply through the website, or you can just contact us through the kind of Facebook site. There's a few of us will monitor sort of the messages as they come in. If you want to tell a story, it's fine. I think if you do approach us, you're ready to tell the story. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
I've never had anyone actually say, once their truth has come out, and this is the really great thing about vlogging, about getting it out there, is it feels uncomfortable to do, but once it's out there, it kind of feels really good. It's almost like a confession.
Yeah.
You know, so we've never had anyone who's been really uncomfortable, because they've generally been at the point they could do. And I think it's important that that's the thing, guys. You know, the recovery is a long road, and you've got to be at the right point to be doing stuff like this. We've never wanted anyone to like do themselves any harm or something so further.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can just contact us and sort of, yeah, we're happy to
Isn't it
talk.
amazing? Like I used to volunteer for Crisis, which is just based underneath the Erskine Bridge, and strangers just come in, and I'm just sitting there, and they will just talk to you about anything. They'll tell you their feelings, their thoughts, and everything because they see you as completely non-judgmental. I could hardly say a word in a counselling session. I could just be like a brick wall, and the person just vents. But that's what they need. They just need to, and the relief that they get from finally saying it. It's absolutely unbelievable how you can find that you can talk to strangers that you think you might not be able to talk to your best friend about or your parents about. It's absolutely scary.
It's phenomenal.
Well, it's funny you should mention that, Ricky. It's something else that I recently ended up getting involved in because my mental health got quite bad. It's Andy's Man Club, and I go there every Monday now. And it's, for some reason, I feel it a lot more easy to open up in a room full of men that I'd never met before than people I've known all my life. I don't know why that is. I don't know what it is about it, but it's just something about the whole experience is it just all of a sudden comes out, and it's not just being able to share your story, it's sometimes hearing other people's stories.
Yeah.
And it's just incredibly inspiring to hear all of these men from completely different backgrounds all just come for that, to do the same thing, to share and get a bit of support. It's just incredibly inspiring and humbling to be a part of these things, because it's just sometimes taking a step back and realizing I'm contributing to something that is bigger than myself right now.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to be a part of these different things right now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. No, thanks very much for that, guys, and being so open about that. But talking about your website, what I really liked about your website, and the website is www.heavymetaltherapy.co.uk, is that you've pretty much listed all the mental illnesses that there is. You've then linked stories from real people, or you've attached like resources that people can look at, and certainly more information. But what other things can people find out if they go to that website? What can they use it for?
I love the stories. I feel like a Viking skald. You know, you're collecting all these stories from all these warriors who've gone through these battles. Yeah, so definitely have a look at those. We've got the playlists, which are really good because let's face it. I mean, we're not the therapist. The music, the community, the heavy metal is the therapy.
Yeah.
So we've got the music. We've got music for different playlists for different sort of diagnoses, different problems. So we've got like a PTSD one, psychosis one. We've got a
Oh, that was
procrastination
incredible,
one.
by the way. I looked at that and the attachments that went with it, the PDF. I thought that was incredible.
All of it is people have contributed. One of our guys, one of our other volunteers has been sort of like bringing them all together and adding stuff himself. And we've got some really great people who've got like phenomenal taste in music. And that's the other thing I love about this is because I'm like 41 now. I ain't cool. I never was cool, but I get to hear all these different bands.
Wait a minute, I'm 50, so what are you trying to say?
Yeah,
You're digging a hole in your
me, mate. Yeah, but there's we've got other things. I mean, we've got the Somewhere I Belong document, which is a living document with stories from other people, the ones talking about with the gigs and stuff like that. We've got the stories. Trying to think of a place for my head as well. It's kind of like different people, different things, people in. We've also got some resources which sort of take like common problems. We try not to medicalize things, so there are ones which are considered medical, so like depression, anxiety, but also things like rage, things like abandonment. We have a really big following. I think this is a very metal thing of sort of people with sort of ADHD, with Asperger's, with autism. We've got a lot of contributors from there, which is really wonderful because we've got a lot of stuff for that as well. Because I do feel metal genre does seem to take a lot of people who are kind of outsiders, aren't they? The ones who are not quite dancing to the same step as everyone else. So we love our weirdos. So and what we are kind of looking at doing at the moment, which will be coming up on the website soon, is we're doing a pilot scheme for a support group, which is us doing the support group, which is nothing we've ever done. We've done 4 years. We never actually wanted to do support groups, but we're like, there's been enough of a need for it, and enough people have asked us. So we're going to start putting there. Big thing is, guys, like me and Matt have been banging on about, volunteering is really good for you. It is really good for your mental health. You feel part of something, you feel bigger than yourself, like Matt was saying. We will take contributions from you guys. Like, one of the best things you can take from our website is the stories and the love and you know, your truths which you give to us, because someone else is going to find it useful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks, Ben. What about yourself, Matt? Is there a particular aspect of the website that you found useful, or in your own personal experience, or is there anything else about the website that you'd like to talk about?
I think one of my favourite things about the website is we've got the resources created by people from the community about ADHD, anxiety, all sorts of different illnesses and generalised mental health problems that you can go on. And it's not a lot of reading. It's a brief thing to read. It's got what helps the person that made the resource for us. It's got some songs to do with that, and I think it's small. You can carry them about. We've got them at the stalls that we have wherever we might be, and I think stuff like that for me is because it's bite sized, but it's got a lot of useful stuff in it. Because this isn't opening up an article and it's someone telling you go for a walk. This is someone with lived experience of that thing, giving their story to heavy metal therapy and putting themselves on that page, which I think is incredible that we are able to facilitate that. Last year, that was one of the things before I got more involved, was I was involved in creating the anxiety resource, and it was incredible that on the phone call that I thought that I didn't know were going to came up, and I felt as if we'd made a really good resource that I hope helps someone else, because it's lived an experience of. I think sometimes it's quite, you get people with using big words that they sort of normal people can't relate to, whereas I think ours is real people, lived in people, giving their story, saying this is what's happened, this is what works for me, and I love that part of the website because it's all people from all across the country. Like, even as Ben was saying, it's the community aspect. Ben's in Norwich and I'm in Glasgow. We would never have met otherwise from this. And earlier on this year, Ben came up to Edinburgh to go and see Bloodywood.
Oh, how good were they, man? It was beautiful, wasn't it?
It's stuff like that blows my mind, that
Yeah.
I've got friends across the country now because of this that I would never have met.
Yeah.
And it's that side of it where it's a lot bigger than any of us, because it unites people, shows people they're not alone. And it's just incredible to be a part of this growing thing, because it's only going to get bigger.
You just, from what we talked about earlier, and you just said it, when people are reading other real people's stories and testimonials and stuff like that, they're saying, oh, that's how I was thinking. Oh, wait a minute, they're feeling that as well. Then they realise that they're not alone. Because that's what people think, that when something's happened to them, nobody else has felt like this or thinking like this. But when they actually see it right in front of them, oh, wait a minute. So
human misery is weirdly universal, but people don't think it is. And the trick people do is, like, my problems aren't as bad as their problems, so no one should have to sort me out. I'll be fine. No. Whatever you're going through is awful because you're going through it. Yeah. It's worse than everyone else's because it's you. It's happening to you. So that's why don't go and seek out help. And hearing that story, you're right, Ricky. Hearing that story makes people think, oh, it's just not just me. I'm allowed to. I've got the permission.
Absolutely.
To seek help, to do what I need to do.
Absolutely. But thanks, guys. So how important do you think music, and specifically heavy metal, is one of the best coping strategies when somebody's got issues with anxiety or depression or suicidal thoughts or anything like that?
I think it's phenomenal. I think it's I remember being at a point, like in my, like, as a teenager, and just feeling like constantly my entire body was vibrating with rage, you know, and self-loathing, and someone just like popping headphones on me and playing Slipknot, and it was just like everything was turned down. As the music was turned up, everything else was turned down. It was amazing. It really was. I think there's many aspects to that. I think the music itself is it can be very upbeat, very aggressive, and that can't match how you feel or how you want to feel. And I think this is not an example often used. You know, heavy metal has very brutal lyrics, and there's a real honesty to it. You know, if you think about it, I think the same years, like I use this nearly Christmas. The example I kind of give is Mariah Carey got a number one with "All I Want for Christmas Is You." She's coming, you can't run. At the same year that Korn brought their first album out, I'm a new metal fan. They went platinum. They went platinum with lyrics about horrendous things that happened in childhood, about depression, self harm. That's amazing. I don't think you'd get away with that in a lot of music genres. We've got brothers and sisters in hip hop in other organizations similar to ours. They're similar, punk the like, but there is a certain like brutalness to metal.
Yeah.
There's an honesty to it that it's human. That's why we love it.
I like it. Thanks, Ben. What about yourself, Matt? Like, how important do you think it is?
Music's just, I think, I don't like that cliche, music's going to save the world, but I mean, when you go to a gig, everyone's there for the same reason. They're there to see a band. They're there to go and watch perhaps their favourite band for the first time or maybe the 100th time. It brings people from all different places, and it's something that I think me, Ben, and all of the people at Heavy Metal Therapy have noticed, that you will find metalheads in the weirdest of places you would never expect them, and you sort of double take and you think you'll see them with a Slipknot t-shirt or something. You won't even have to exchange words. You just have that look with each other. You're like, yeah.
That's actually literally how this whole thing started. It was two people working together, and one of them was in the Slipknot hoodie, and they went, "Let's be friends forever."
I wish you could have chosen a better band, to be fair. But yes, I will be going to the 25th anniversary tour. I'll give you that. I will be going.
Bleed from within or supporting them, if that's a good reason to go.
Absolutely. They did turn me down for an interview, but that's beside the point. It wasn't actually the band, it was the record company. But I'm not angry about that at all now. That's fine. I'm better than them. So, but isn't it strange how when heavy metal first came out a few decades ago, it was regarded as noise, it was regarded as satanic. I mean, I'm death metal, and I remember like Dismember being taken to court because of their cover art and the lyrics were indecent and obscene, to the extent that Dismember won the case, and they now called their second album Indecent and Obscene, and it sold millions. But now heavy metal is an everyday thing, and it's more popular than it's ever been. It's more accepted now. I just find it as a genre of music where you can talk about your fallen ones, or you can have a ballad and sing about your loved ones or who don't love you, but you can also talk about death metal, chopping people in half and getting eaten by zombies and stuff like that. I can't think of another genre of music where you've got that freedom to write your lyrics.
Yeah, and it's I think there's it's not always very serious metal. I kind of love that about it. It is sort of serious, but there's certain like ridiculousness to it that's almost like fun and playful, isn't it? Even death metal can be incredibly playful. Because let's face it, death metal is kind of like jazz, isn't it? It's very much kind of like let's see what we can do.
I don't like them, Matt. I don't like them.
No, lull the audience into it and then change something else. So yeah, it is like it's something. Yeah, you can get away with murder in metal. You can get away with a lot of stuff, and in that way, you're right, Ricky. It's a very diverse genre. Once you get past your initial, oh my god, this is loud.
I read on your website. Was it you, Matt, that actually said this? Your mother said to you that this music sounds so depressing, but you said that I'm listening to the music to get rid of the depression.
I think that was Swamp Coffin, then, wasn't it?
That's right. That's who it was. It was.
Yeah. They're doom metal lads who do tunes that sound like the end of the world. But yeah.
No, absolutely great. Absolutely great. That's great. Thanks a lot for that, guys. But also, once people start talking, it's so important for people to remember the successes that they've had in their lives, for when there are times that they think they can't do it again. They have to remember their successes. But can you give an example of what you deem to have been a success from people that have maybe interacted with yourself and with the group? Obviously, you're not going to name names or anything like that, but can you think of an example where there'll always be somebody that you'll remember?
I'm thinking some of my best ones like face to face was Bloodstock was really nice.
Yeah.
When we worked alongside, we kind of did consultancy, didn't we, for all the Black Sheep? They wanted some mental health specialists. Um, I ended up talking to two men who were very, very drunk, but very morosely drunk, quite suicidal.
Yeah.
And both of them came back either the next day or the day after to like apologize. And then we had another session where I was just like, don't apologize.
Yeah.
Just say exactly what you said to me to other people, to the people who care about you, because I'm a stranger. And that was really wonderful. There was like I got to see two breakthrough moments of two people at the most vulnerable, and they didn't know me. They didn't met me before in my life.
It's
You know,
just like if that stall wasn't there, what would have happened to those two individuals?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't know.
And it's frightening. There's like 100 bands for them to see, but yet they went to a stall, talked about mental health, their issues, their problems, and stuff like that. Is
But I've been there.
missing.
I remember watching like Rage Against the Machine, like 2012, and I'm like, at the time it was one of my favorite bands, and I should be enjoying this, but I was really struggling with my mental health, and I just got hit by this like wave of like what was happening to me at the time,
Yeah.
and just, it totally killed it for me. Totally like ruined it for me. I was lucky enough to sort of be with a partner at the time who could see. She knew when I started to go, because I just like stand there and my eyes would like twitch to the right, and she'd be just like, you need to chat. So I was lucky to have people around me who could recognise that within me, could recognise the sort of changes, and these people didn't really.
Yeah.
So I get that, and I'm sure like a lot of people would have that situation where you're watching the band and you should be enjoying it, but other things that are happening around you are getting in the way of that. And let's face it, we're here for the music, aren't we? That's what we love. So yeah, that for me was a real good one, and you know Matt, of course, you know.
Yeah, of
You're
course.
giving me a big head here.
Yeah, so Matt, what was a personal highlight for yourself, like somebody that you'll always remember, or somebody you'll always use an example to others?
Well, I think one that springs to mind is again from Bloodstock, and it was my first shift in the welfare, and I was bricking it. I was nervous. I couldn't. I was just didn't know what to do. I felt so far from home. And thought, what have I done? And then because we get to wear the heavy metal therapy t-shirts, somebody came in looking for heavy metal therapy, and getting to talk to them and see their faces light up because they communicated to someone from us online,
Yeah.
and then coming in talking to me and saying, "Oh, what you do is great. It's great. It's great to see you. We came down to see you." And it was obviously they didn't come down to see specifically me. It could have been Ben. It could have been Kate. It could have been one of the other ones from that were there, but it was me. And I was incredibly grateful for that interaction because that was it. I was in, my head was in the game. I was out of my shell, and I could sort of wear that mask and be that person that was required at that time. And
Yeah.
it's sort of hammered home how big this thing is because I think because we're all in different parts of the country and we don't get to see each other often, aside from if we're writing stuff or collaborating. And obviously, we've all got lives. Ben's got a child. I'm working full time, and we're all busy. So life goes on until you see each other again. It's getting to see the impact that the organisation's from, because obviously I just volunteer some of my time for it because it's a cause I care a lot about. I
Yeah.
care a lot about heavy metal therapy. I have gotten a lot from this.
Yeah.
And for someone to come in and just to see their face light up, it was really, really humbling. So I thought, I'm really part of something that's bigger than myself right now. And it sort of set me up for the whole weekend where I ended up having a great time. And it's one of the best experiences of my life. And I'm incredibly grateful to, I can embarrass Ben a bit here. I thought I would hate him for it, but I'm incredibly grateful to Ben for having that miscommunication of where it ended up. I was put in the position to go there because if I hadn't went, there's things that wouldn't have happened that have happened as a snowball effect of that. So I'm incredibly grateful for that experience and that they took a chance on me.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I can relate to that in a lot of ways. Like, I was always scared about doing face-to-face interviews. Like, I got used to doing online interviews, but I went down to a festival in Manchester and was like, there's no way I can do this, no way I can do this. And then a band member just came up saying, right, I'm ready for an interview. Mark gave me a microphone, and 5 to 10 minutes later, I was done. I'm right, who's next? And I can almost see you getting up on the stage at Bloodstock saying, right, who's ready to talk next? Come over to that tent, I'm over there.
I'd love to do that. But I'm a massive narcissist.
But you just know that some people are just there at the right time, at the right place. And that just, once that person there that said that they've been to heavy metal therapy before, that was you. You were in the zone. You settled your nerves.
I think honourable mention goes to anyone who's been on, because this is a slight plug as well, Ricky. So we do our sort of radio podcast, which is Church Heavy Metal Therapy. We're all Sons of Anarchy fans. And we've done a lot of interviews there, and people sharing their stories has just been absolutely fantastic. We had two lads who were talking about having ADHD, and they had it together at the age of like 22. They had life sorted with like this what anyone else would call this deregulation. But they worked around it. They ate around the edges, and they made their lives work with like their own hyper focus and with things like that. And hearing people so young figuring it out, when, to be honest, it's taken me to like the age of 35 to start to get it, which is absolutely inspiring. That's pretty close to my second. A lot of the people who we interviewed, it's just been fantastic. It's just been really, really great seeing the people cope, how they cope, if they're not coping, what they do another time,
And they come up with new solutions for you guys to use and share as well. I mean, you don't know it all, but every day's a school day for you guys as well, So
yeah, and for mental health, I mean, mental health is in itself. So I mean, the whole discipline is barely 200 years old. It's an incredibly young science, and we're still figuring stuff out, reinventing things, redefining things, discovering things. So it's we're baby steps at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously deal with a lot of mental health issues like depression, anxiety, ADHD, and everything like that. But what about people that are scared to go to a gig, or they don't have any friends that are into the same music at them, and they're too scared to go into like a venue and go into the gig? Would you reach out to these people as well? What would you advise them to do?
We've done a Facebook page. It's not been as successful as we'd hoped. We have got a Facebook page, which is Heavy Metal Gigs. And that's people wanting to meet up and sort of go to the places, but it's not as much. It's, to be honest, we've had so much other stuff on that's kind of gone to the background. It's something I'd like to revisit, because I know what it's like. I moved town a lot, and the things that brought me to a town would be a climbing wall, somewhere to nerd out with war games, or some good places to watch gigs. That's generally my three. If I can move somewhere, if they ain't got there, I ain't going there. So I know moving to a new place, seeing new people, it can be quite difficult, and especially when you've got sort of anxiety, depression, anything else that might be a barrier to that. I went to my first gig by myself this year. It's taken 41 years for me to do that. I've never done that before, and I did it sober as well, which is weird for me. And that's taken me all this knowledge, mate, and all this like knowing how it is. So I respect how hard it is to do. So
it's like we were just talking about. Remember your successes. Well, you've done it last week, so you can go to a gig yourself next week if you wanted to.
Yeah, exactly. And there's nothing wrong with going to a gig by yourself.
No, absolutely not.
It's absolutely fine. You don't actually have to enjoy it. That's the cool thing. Like, and that's like a lot. One of the treatments is depression. It's doing stuff you should enjoy, but you don't because you're depressed. But then eventually you will start to enjoy it because you're doing it. So
yeah,
if you're listening, get out there. And it's what's been nice is there's a guy who was at that. I went to see Lamb of God, and there's a guy who's at that gig who I spoke to. And I've seen him at like 2 or 3 gigs.
I'll argue with that face, Ricky.
There's other radio shows that we do, and there's one on a Monday night, and I've told them to ban Lamb of God is banned from the radio station. I just don't get them. I don't get them.
I'm just bitter about them cancelling the Glasgow date. I'm just a bitter fan.
I have seen them.
There's guys I met. There's guys I met at the time, bumped into, and I was like, "Hi, I'm on my own." And that admitting it was quite. I was outside, and I was just like, "Hi, I'm here by myself. What did you think to the gig?" Oh, mate! Again, by the end we were hugging and chatting, and it really was an experience. I did not feel comfortable at the beginning. I didn't feel
Yeah.
comfortable in the middle, and I felt a bit more comfortable towards the end. But doing it, I'd do it again. And there's one or two people I see them on the gig circuit now, and I'll sort of say hi and shake their hands and give them big sweaty mosh. It's great.
I mean, I was like yourself. Like, I didn't have any friends who was into the music that I was into, so I was going to Cat House myself, or the venue as it was back in those days as well, and then going to like death metal gigs, for example. But since I've been doing this, I've been talking to bands. So when I go to gigs now, band members talk to me, and it just the elation that you feel, the happiness that you feel, I just absolutely love it. Absolutely love it now. And yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I've got so many questions to ask you. Do you know that? I just don't know which one to ask you first.
Yeah, give us a brutal one if you want, mate. Give us a brutal one. That's absolutely fine. That's what
Well, do you know what I'm going?
And talking brutal honesty about mental health. So if you got a hardball one, mate, through it.
Well, I'm going to brag about somebody first,
it.
because it was really himself that's kind of made this happen. His name's Tony Douglas. But I kind of know the answer to this. But how are you guys spreading the word about heavy metal therapy? What we've already talked about Bloodstock, but what other bigger festivals have you been to? I take it you go to all the local rock and metal pubs as much as possible where you are, just to spread the word about heavy metal therapy.
Yeah,
Matt's
you've been more on it than me. What have you been doing in Glasgow?
Something I've been wanting to do in Scotland is bring heavy metal therapy more to Scotland, because it's based more in England, and it's kind of, I think as time's going on and if people are maybe seeing me, and obviously you've mentioned Tony there, who I'm incredibly grateful for what he's doing, because he's helping a dream come true for me. I'd spoken to Kate about this a lot, and I thought it's a pipe dream will never come true. I had this thing where we would have people in different cities in Scotland, because I can't be everywhere as much as I'd love to be. And it's amazing to see him get posters and stuff out, because I like doing the writing side of things. I'm not as into the sort of handing cards out and doing posters, because I'm not extroverted that way. Like one gig in particular, you were involved in it, in fact, Ricky.
I was about to talk about it.
Was that was a fantastic gig, and that was the first time I ever gave cards to a stall, and I was in my head, I was thinking, no, I can't just walk up to the merch to give them the cards. How can I do that? So I ran up and I was like, "This cards," ran away. I was like, "I can't do this." And it's an interesting experience, because people don't. I've got sometimes I think you get wrapped up in your head, but you think people care. It's like people don't care. They are there to enjoy themselves. They're not there to look at you. They've paid to go to a gig. They've not paid to come and go, "Oh, look at that. He's tragic. He's on his own." It's like they're there to enjoy themselves. They're there for the same reason as me, which is something that I struggled with going to gigs on my own, and then I started going to gigs on my own, and I enjoy it as much as going to a gig with someone else now. So, and even more so, where a lot of the times if I'm away from Scotland in a gig, I'll wear my heavy metal therapy t-shirt, hoping that someone might notice it, might give us a follow, might ask me about it. It might spark a conversation.
Yeah,
because I know what it's like to go to a gig on my own. It's still quite nervous sometimes, standing in the queue. You don't know what to do. You've got no one to talk to. You're waiting for the band to come on, but then the band comes on, you get the payoff. And obviously, if someone asks you about heavy metal therapy, I get to spread the word. Bonus, because I love this.
Yeah. So I know that Tony's kind of concentrating in the Far East, isn't he? So have you got like a few places within Glasgow that you've been able to get your posters and merch out?
I've given cards a while ago to a record shop in Glasgow, and then I sort of fell off with it, where my mental health, I was struggling, and I just wasn't in a position to go and do stuff like that. But now I'm wanting to get, as well as get the word out, hopefully get more people involved, because it's nice me doing it, and I love doing it, but I'd like to have a little community up here of us doing it, where we can spread the word, maybe even meet up and go to gigs. But it would just be nice to meet other metalheads, because I know that before I got involved in this, I wanted a community of people like this. And I know there's people out there just like me looking for something like this. And they're the people I want to get to, because I know they're going to get so much from this that just to see other people, not even the mental health side of it, just to be part of that community, being able to meet friends, go to gigs and do whatever, and it would be amazing to be a part of a community like that. So it's kind of, I think the sky is the limit for what we can do with stuff like that, because it's sort of
Absolutely.
uncharted waters and unexplored territory. So it's exciting to look forward and think, where is this going to go and what might happen, because everything's just snowballed from me writing an article for them.
Yeah.
So everything that happens just snowballs, and it's incredible to just sit and enjoy the ride sometimes.
That's a great feeling, eh? Great feeling. Well, hopefully with the article that I'll write for Moshville Times to go along with the interview, it might help spread the word, and I'll certainly add a bit about it that anybody wants to join the team, contact such and such. So I'll certainly word it in that way. Are you going to the gig on Saturday up in Dundee?
I didn't know there was one on. Who's playing?
Well, apparently I'm meeting Tony Douglas. So I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing yet.
That'll be
But
good.
it's a Catalysis album release show. So, but it's an all day event up in Dundee. So I'm
That'll be
sure Tony will bring some like heavy metal therapy merch down. But the question I want to ask you, Ben, is see the shirt that you're wearing. Does
Yeah.
it have like, so it's got heavy metal therapy, obviously, yeah. But does it have anything on the back like you can talk about?
Yeah, it does. It's
Ah,
just
that. Yeah, I was just wondering if there was like something that describes what you can do in a nutshell on the back of your shirt or on merch, so people can know by looking at your shirt, they know what heavy metal therapy is.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, if you kind of boil it down to the barest bones, guys, we are a community. Within community, we're there to collect stories, to make people aware, to bring people together, for people to contribute their stories to us, and we're working towards a mission to bring the metal community together and strengthen our resilience.
Yeah.
Not just the mental health, everything is social. So that you get to the point where you're at a gig, you see someone else wearing the t-shirt or one of our patches or one of our mugs or other merchandise, and be like, I want to talk to them.
So you've
I'm
got
gonna
everything,
talk to
don't you?
them.
You've got shirts, you've got posters, you've got pins, you've got the rubber bands as well. What else would you have?
Yeah,
We've got squishy brains. I've got one over there.
we
In
have
fact,
got
it's like a
squishy
stretch
brains.
ball.
Really cool. They're really cool too. But if anyone does want to, and because we've been doing sort of trying to put stuff in situations that people will find relevant. So we've got our information in sort of bars and clubs and gig venues. We've got A&E's, got a few GP surgeries. There's a police holding cell somewhere in the country with our stuff in, which I like the idea of. I kind of like that,
That's
the
kind
idea
of
Yeah.
that
cool.
anywhere that people are like, part of connected or might be struggling. We want this to be a position where people can turn to us and
New
look at
beginning.
us and be like, I need to know someone's going through this, what I'm going through. I need to get my head around this. Is anyone else going through this? And they are. I guarantee you, if you're listening,
Yeah.
if you're watching, they are. And get that story, and get the story from the context of our culture, from the culture, because heavy metal is a culture in itself. We've got our own traditions, we've got our own values, we've got our own ways we dress. You're part of us. You're one of us. We're all the same culture.
So
And we're hoping to bring that culture together and talk a bit.
exactly. But that leads me nicely on to the next question then. But sometimes men find it difficult to talk about themselves due to the stigma that they perceive themselves as being weak to others when expressing their feelings. What can you say to men who feel that way?
Can I quote Machine Head? Build
I'll
these
let
walls
you away
around
with that
you,
one. They're okay. I'll
and
let
you
you
can
away with
break
that.
them all down. It's up to you. It's up to you. You've got to break it down. You got to break it down. Like, what you're going through is terrible because it's you. Other people
Yeah.
care about you. If you don't think they are, that's because your brain meat is telling you they're not. And your brain meat is a little bit of a liar when you're depressed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't listen to those thoughts. You do mean something to someone. I guarantee.
Yeah. And I
It's got
think
to mean something to someone.
with the cost of living crisis the way it is as well just now, like going to seek professional counselling when it's like CBT's like between £40 and £80 a session, nobody can afford that anymore. So having a resource like yourselves, which is free and so helpful, I just
If you are in, I'm not sure if it extends to Scotland, but we do. I know in England we have the IAP service, which is CBT counselling. Counselling's cheap; it's not free. There is a waiting list, of course.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, which is why it's really important to get it early, guys. Like, especially you men. Like, I've been the same. You wait till it's so bad that you can't get to work. That's the point that we usually. That's the point where like we need help. It's not when we can't sleep or we're suffering or we're enjoying anything. It's when we can't get to work. Get it before that point. Yeah. Seek help.
Yeah. No.
That's
Well, there's
it. Early the
even
better.
on top of free counselling, I think it's called Uproar Mental Health Foundation, and they do every Tuesday. They do free online group counselling. So there is things out there. They're not widely advertised. Some of these things, I know Uproar are getting out there, and I think that's absolutely fantastic what they're doing. They're offering free group counselling, because counselling can be very expensive, and I think if you're on the lower rungs of that ladder, you can feel like you're drowning, because sometimes getting help is hard. Asking for help is hard enough, and then it's when you ask for help and you get barriers put in your way, which is sort of what I love about what we do. Obviously, I'm not a mental health professional. I don't have a background in mental health at all. Anything I've learned has been through probably about the past 2.5 years of experience with even getting involved with, like when I went to Bloodstock and getting to work with Ben, Kate, who have a background in mental health, and I can take things from them and learn from them. Like, I get a lot from them, and I think these are people that bring the best out in me. And I think it's even sometimes finding your tribe, or find people that are going to bring the best out in you, people that want to see you do well, because everything that I have done has been as a direct result of getting involved in heavy metal therapy, and then it all snowballed from there.
Yeah.
It's things that I've been able to do because of that, people I've met because of that, connections I've made because of that. Even like Tony getting involved in heavy metal therapy, that happened. I was really struggling with mental health, and I'd come off of social media, and Kate had reached out to me and said, "We've got somebody in Scotland we'd like you to reach out to when you're ready." And then when I got back on, I reached straight out to him, and Tony is a fantastic asset to us. He's absolutely brilliant. He's got connections that I could only dream of having. He got us to you, Ricky, and something that I wanted to actually get us involved with Moshville sometime, and I come up to it against a brick wall, because I thought, I don't know how to pitch this and I don't know how to do it. So I can't thank him enough for making this happen, because the minute I seen Moshville, I thought, there's possibly a mutual beneficial here, because
Absolutely.
we can spread the word for each other. And I thought it could be. I never thought it would be a chat. I thought it might be an article or something. But it's just, even these things. It's my thing is, tell people, say yes to everything, because it's some of the weirdest and amazing, most wonderful and amazing things in my life have happened because somebody asked me something that terrified me, and I just said yes. And it's just. If you'd met me 2 years ago, I would never have dreamt of doing something like this. I would have been terrified to do something like this. I would have been, there's not a chance I would have done something like this. And it's all thanks to getting to work with heavy metal therapy.
One of your turning points, this is actually how I met Matt. I interviewed him for the Church Heavy Metal plug. Is you were talking about blogging and writing, weren't you? And I think if you are experiencing mental health problems for the first time, you're not sure, I think that's a wonderful thing to do. Like, counselling often just helps you reframe your thoughts.
Yeah.
You know, once they come out, they become real. Once they become real, you can deal with them. Yeah, you can't deal with them back around it. You need to come out somewhere. And you know, Matt, you've found, I've read your stuff. It's fantastic because it's true.
Well, even earlier on this year, that thing that me and Kate got published in Mad in America, because Kate asked me to help her out, and then we ended up getting that published, and that's a big mental health blog in America, and for someone like me to get published in that was absolutely mind blowing, and then over 10,000 people read it, which was incredibly overwhelming. Wow. Because I'm on those pages. It's me.
That's you in history.
A lot of my story.
Yeah.
And it was just your truth. That was it, wasn't it? That could be anyone's truth.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that actually leads me to the very important point of being involved with a charity and mental health. how do you look after yourselves when you get private messages from people, maybe if it's suicidal thoughts, or if it's something that you've went through, and it resonates with you and it might bring your triggers back? How do you look after yourself, and how do you look after one another within the team?
I have a weird combination of PTSD and depression, which is relatively common. So, I find doing stuff helps. Being active, so that helps my PTSD, but then depression just kicks the motivation out of that. So,
Yeah.
like I was saying before, there's certain things I have to do routinely,
Yeah.
and if I do those routinely, like eat properly, exercise, keep contact with people, do work like this, and sort of do my breathing exercises, I find I can actually be really resilient.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll see or read something or talk to someone who is just me a few years ago. That is hard.
Yeah.
But just being curious is the best way to do that, because someone's journey, no matter how similar to mine, is not mine.
Yeah.
And this is something I was very guilty of when I was doing sort of more like therapy and nurses. You start to make assumptions, and actually, when you kind of get to it and start asking people questions, it starts to, how different it starts to peel how it is. Sitting back and just asking people questions. And if you're ever talking to anyone about their mental health, guys, this is the best way to do. Just be really curious. Be a little kid. Why? What's that like? It's like be like that annoying little 6-year-old who wants to know everything, because honestly, it will do you some good. It will do them some good. But sort of failing that, sometimes I have a meltdown, to be honest, mate, and that's perfectly okay. Sometimes I'll just collapse and just not be myself for a while, and it happens. If you have mental health problems for long enough, the people around you, and that can include things like your employers, get to know. My boss knows what I'm like when I'm getting bad, and he gives me a little bit of space, and he asks me what he needs. And it's accepting sometimes things are going to trigger you, but do what you can, to keep your head above water, so that you will get the trigger, but it won't be as bad. That's the best advice I could give anyone.
Yeah.
Is keep at it, keep doing the things that make you well. Listen to metal.
Can't argue with that. Can't argue with that. And I thank you for being open and honest. But what about yourself, Matt? What if, in some of the charities that you deal with, or somebody's contacted you through heavy metal therapy, and it stays in your head? How do you make sure that you're okay? Do you have like weekly sessions with each other, something like that, where you can talk about things and get it out your system, or what do you do?
I think something that I'm very fortunate and grateful to be in the position of is I've got people like Ben in my life that I've been in that background professionally, that if I'm really struggling, I can reach out and they'll give me some space, which I'm incredibly grateful for. And aside, not just Ben, but in the different things I've got involved with, I know I've got people I can turn to if I'm really struggling, that are going to give me space, as well as I journal a lot. I enjoy journaling. That's kind of how I get my thoughts together. I know, big scary metalhead, and I like sitting. And there's nothing I like more
Listen,
than
it's a
sitting in a
huge
room with.
CBT tool. It's a huge
I love
CBT,
it. It's something it's not even just that I think it's a great tool. I enjoy it. I like
Yeah,
doing it. I
yeah.
don't usually read back. I don't do it to keep records. I just enjoy it. It's something that you can kill even 5-10 minutes. You don't have to put any effort. It doesn't take any time at all, and I enjoy it. I get a lot from it. It gives me back something, and it's something that I would recommend to anyone that's struggling to give it a go. Even if it doesn't work for you, there will be something else out there for you. Some people exercise, some people listen to music, some people play music, some people write. Obviously, I like writing. I'll sometimes write to make myself feel better, and actually
You ever
writing
written a
that
song?
article. Well, funny you should mention that. Another group that we're involved with is not involved with, but we sort of loosely partnered with, is something called the Noisy Brain. And I can't play music, but I've written stuff that I sort of viewed as lyrics. And what Stu set this up for is that you can put your writing onto this platform, and songwriters can go onto this platform and adopt your writing and turn it into a song.
Wow.
So it's quite amazing that that can happen, and it's amazing to be involved in something like that. And not just none of mine have ever been adopted. And if they do, they do. If they don't, they don't. That's kind of I just enjoy having a platform to put my writing out, because for a long time it was something that was in my phone notes that to other people it might not make any sense to, but to me it makes a lot of sense because it helped me get through a period of my life sometime where I can go back and read through stuff I wrote maybe 2 years ago, and I can sort of transport myself back to that headspace. What was I thinking then? What was I doing? What was I eating? What was I thinking about? What was I wanting to do? Who was I talking to? Was I at work? Was I on holiday? And I think that's the power of music and the power of writing is incredible, because something I don't like doing with my writing, if when I ever put it out, is telling someone what it means straight away. Because I think the minute you tell someone what it means, that's it. It's the whole point of its ruin, because
You want their
everyone
own
listens to a
interpretation.
song. Exactly. Everyone listens to a song, and it'll connect to you with whatever you're feeling in that
Yeah.
moment, and it'll mean something different to everyone, which is something I love about music. It's such an individual experience that a song you could listen to and it could mean something totally different between me and you, but we'll both love the song, but for different reasons. And I love that about music. It's incredible that I
Yeah.
don't know anything else that can do that. I'm not really into art. If I go to an art gallery, I'm bored stiff. I feel quite guilty about it sometimes. I'm just looking, I'm thinking, yep, okay, been here 10 minutes, let's go. I'm bored now, which is my mind wanders, and maybe that's part of
Is there a particular
ADHD or
song
something.
that you would always go back to?
That's quite a good question, actually. Well, there's a song, I suppose the song that I ended up getting involved with heavy metal therapy was Tremonti, Marching in Time. And from the first time I heard that song to if I was to listen to it now, it's a song that means a lot to me. It's a song that I find a lot of comfort in, something I can turn to when I'm feeling low. I can listen to it when I feel good. I can listen to it with friends. I've recommended it to people. That's a song I've turned to quite a lot because I think there's a lot of hope and a lot of light in that song. So if I'm feeling particularly down, it's listening to that song, paying attention to the lyrics and how I interpret it, and I just feel myself slowly coming back up, and it's this amazing feeling. It's like somebody's gave you a life jacket and they've inflated it, and all you're starting to float back to the surface, and
Yeah.
it's an indescribable feeling, but it is just incredible what music can do.
One of these days, you're actually going to talk about good music, good bands. But I saw you, Ben, you're kind of looking around saying, oh shit, don't ask me, don't ask me, don't ask me. Let me think of one quick.
No. I've
And I'm
got
going to
one.
ask you.
You just ain't gonna like the answer, Ricky.
Better not be Lamb of God.
No. I also remember that I've missed Decapitated. They're playing tonight, but I had my daughter, so I couldn't have seen them. They're playing in Norwich, talking about death metal. So no, Machine Head, Blood, Sweat and Tears. It's not from the best album. It's not even from the best song, the best album on their album. But I really love it. The song's about the first half of the song is about hating yourself and just being this creature of loathing and just hating yourself, hating other people. And then like the mid-song bridge is about just breaking down the walls and just accepting help from other people, accepting you who you are, and just like accepting that something's wrong and that you need help, and then making the steps towards it. That's what the whole song's about, and it's also kicking. It's a fantastic song. Like I've had a horrible,
Debatable.
yeah, I've had a horrible week and a half. I really have, and it came on my shuffle list this morning just as I pulled up to work. And I just like sat back and just kicked my feet up on the deck of my van and just listened to it. And I just walked in and I was just like, I have got this day. This day is mine. You know, it just every time it does it for me. It's like a little dose of medication, mate.
That's amazing, isn't it? Absolutely amazing.
Is the thing.
Listen, guys, I really appreciate your time. I appreciate your honesty and your openness and your friendliness as well. I thought you'd have been really horrible guys, but you're really quite nice and approachable. Either that or it's just an act. But you've won me over. But I'm going to make a complaint now. I've done all the nice stuff. I'm making a complaint.
Go.
But I really like your YouTube channel. I subscribe to it as well, where you have people happily talking and sharing their experiences about mental health. For example, the guy on ADHD. But sorry to say this though, but I think you need to do more on YouTube and have more people sharing the experience. I think the last one was like 8 to 10 months ago. I like doing my research for my prep, and it was one thing I noticed that you hadn't done anything on YouTube in some time.
No, we haven't. We should have. I interviewed someone about using death metal style screaming to manage PTSD. That should actually drop this weekend.
I need to watch that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, it's absolutely phenomenal woman, Christina. It's like, and just happened we're going to the same gig next year. We're all going to go see Glory Hammer and Beast in Black, so I'm going to go hang out there as well. But yeah, a great story about using that. And no, you're absolutely right. I think with a lot of the festivals, we have a lot of things, a lot of other stuff go on. We've actually felt, Ricky, that we have strayed away from the mission a little bit.
That was something me and you talked about, Ben, wasn't it? That at Bloodstock we were going to do video diaries or something.
Yeah. So we are trying to get back on that. No, you're absolutely right, because I think that it's really good, and it's out there on YouTube as well, which is like the best place for it, isn't it? Like,
absolutely,
it's so easy to find. But yeah, so hopefully get some more interesting ones as time goes by. And like I said, dear listener and watching, if you do have any kind of stories you want to share, if you've found a way to sort of cope with mental health, make yourself more resilient, that's something like other people could do, other people could try. Like I say, the whole thing's a tapas at the moment. Try what you like, stick with what you want. Come forward, contact us. I'll happily chat to you about it.
Again, I will put that in the article that I'll write along with this interview, how easily contactable you guys are. And if they're willing to share their stories, then that'll be a platform. Can change their name if they want to, or just whatever they want to do. You guys can make it happen. But what I also like is, we talked about it very, very briefly earlier on, was the all the various forms of mental health issues, but you've got a playlist to coincide with these. And what I like about your playlist is you've got everything from Prodigy to Killing Joke to cattle decapitation. So, Matt, what are we going to do with your shit musical tastes, I'm afraid?
Listen to the playlists a bit more, I suppose.
No, I like, how easy or difficult do you find it to create these playlists?
I don't do them because I actually find it really hard. So we've got another volunteer who kind of does it, who collects them there. Because for one, I get that almost like I'm a bit too scared to tell people what I'm into, because it's like my.
Well, you've got better taste than that.
Yeah, I span many genres of metal. I am a genre spanner. So
I just like all sorts. I'll listen to anything. If anybody wants to send me anything, I'll give it a go.
Yeah. So we've had some wonderful, generally a lot younger people who've kind of got involved, made suggestions and collaborated it. We at one point, when metalcore kind of formed itself as a solid genre, we even had a chief metalcore kind of Ricky doesn't like metalcore. We like consultant. We had someone who would like every so often just be like, and I think they still do, sort of like, hey, it's Monday, it's Metalcore Monday. Listen to this, it's great. So we are.
And with Metalcore Monday, Ben, it's a new single every Monday. It's from a band that's released a single that week, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. I think you've also got like it's a female. She does on a Wednesday. She does like a counselling session on a Wednesday type thing, but she makes it kind of, she puts like the face on. I've seen this. Well, I was doing it in my prep and I saw her. I can't remember. She does it on a Wednesday.
Yeah, the corpse paint. Yeah.
So,
we do, and we do like little seasonal stuff as well. So it's I haven't done it for a while. We did Dismember. December. I'm not sure we're doing this year. We might recall it Gothmas, but the idea was that there was people who feel on the outside of like more generic kind of pop and Love Island society. A lot of guys like us don't feel great around December. Like it doesn't really feel like our culture. So what we did is, we did it for the last 2 years now. We wore corpse paint and did everyday Christmas stuff. So there's pictures of me going like Christmas shopping with my trolley, so in full corpse paint. There's someone like riding a horse in full corpse paint. There's someone doing a gym session in full corpse paint, just as a bit of we're here. This isn't,
Did you ever wonder like why bands go through the torture putting corpse paint on every night?
pain in the arse, and you come out in spots every freaking time,
Yeah, cool. But listen, I've had a fabulous time talking to you guys. I really was nervous about this one, but this is usually the time of the interview where I ask about the instruments that you used and the development of it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you guys because it brings a wee bit out in me as well. I wish I did go continue with the counselling, but it's just one of those things, you let it slip. But it's obviously you can go back to it. But it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you guys. So, heavy metal therapy, we talked about the website. Where else can we find heavy metal therapy?
So there's the Mental Health Mosh Pit, which is on Facebook, which is mostly memes. It's where we share a little bit of love. People are welcome. They can do this anonymously if they want. On that, if you're struggling with something, you can type in, as long as it's within Mark Zuckerberg's kind of parameters. Don't get us banned from Facebook, please.
Yeah.
People will chip in and say this has worked for me. That's another option. That's Mental Health Mosh Pit. We are of course on Twitter as well. We do have our more generic kind of business, if you like, sort of page that's on Facebook as well. So yeah, you can kind of reach us through that. I love the Mental Health Mosh Pit. I absolutely love. I think that's really great. It's like if people share memes, we do different ones. Like we do Cat a Day, which we like heavy metal cats, which is really common, weirdly common. Like what the hell, guys? Tuesdays are Woo's Day because we've got dogs. It's stuff to perk you up. Stuff you wake up in the morning and you're just like, oh Jesus Christ, I can't face today. But you see a funny meme about Glenn Danzig or something like that, and Dave Mustaine being David Mustaine, and then that's what we do. Bring a little bit of humour to it as well.
Cool.
The Mental Health Mosh Pit's actually how me and Ben ended up first chatting. Like the only person I'd really spoken to was Kate, and I didn't really know anyone else from it. And it was I'd posted because I don't drink anymore. I've been sober for a long time now, and I'd posted something about if anybody ever wants support and you want someone to talk to, you can come to me if you want. And Ben reached out for a bit of support, which I ended up actually really respected because I thought that takes a lot of balls to message someone you don't know and say, can you give me some advice or guidance on this? And it's kind of, I can only say what worked for me. I'm not a professional. I'm an expert in what worked for me, which is something Ben actually said to me. But
he actually listens, Ben. He listens.
All right, sure.
I'm surprised at some of the stuff I pick up, and I'm like, where did that come from? I'm like, I definitely didn't say that. I'm like, who said that? And it's quite incredible the community we've got in the mosh pit, because some people just join it and don't post. They just like or they look at stuff and they'll laugh at the memes or whatever, but it's just being part of that community, which is incredible. It's because we've got people from all over the world in that group. It's not a massive group. I think it will grow, and it's obviously something that I would love to see is gig meetups where you could say, or I could say, I'm going down to London. Who wants to go to this gig in London? And then be able to meet up with people, because I think that would just be incredible. And you never know who you get to meet with these things. It's a very incredible experience in how small the world is. I think social media gets a bad rep. Everybody thinks it's terrible, and it's like without social media, I would never have done any of this.
Absolutely.
So I'm reluctant to hate on it.
Met so many amazing weirdos on social media.
I was going to say, I hope you're not going to meet any serial killers down at these gigs, that you're going to meet people that you've never met before. But
we certainly hope not.
No. But yeah, is there anybody that you want to give a shout out in the team? Do you guys get together for like a yearly reunion somewhere, or what do you do?
Yeah, I guess Wolverhampton Primordial Radio AGM tends to be ours because it's the centre of the country. Sorry, my country, not yours. So a little bit further from
personal there, Ben.
It's central of England, so it's a good place for everyone to kind of meet in the middle. Matt has to come a little bit further. Bless you. So that tends to be our sort of annual meetup because I've still got friends. I used to live in Sheffield, so when the other family members all live in Sheffield, I try and meet up whenever I can with those. We meet up like online when we can, but Yeah, so the Primordial AGM tend to be really good. Primordial Radio have been really supportive, and they're really supportive, like say for Lancaster Foundation, Metal for Good. It's a real nice mesh of music, but also helping kind of bringing the community together. So we tend to sort of meet up for that, or as and when we can. I'm probably going to come to Edinburgh again, Matt. So we'll have to go to see what the gig's on, mate. Yeah, I came up. We did a cultural exchange. I went to Edinburgh. Matt sort of phoned Matt. Ain't far from Glasgow, is it? So he came and met me and watched the gig. So, which is, I wouldn't have done that if it wasn't for this. I wouldn't have met this gentleman and seen his people. So, yeah, so we kind of try and meet up when we can. And when we start doing the groups, who knows what's going to happen then?
I think Primordial was definitely, that was the first one I ever done, where I went down to go to the stall with all these people I'd never met, only knew one of them. And then Ben, the first thing he did when he seen me was give me a big hug. And Ben's quite significantly taller than me, so and that was just another occasion where it's getting to communicate with people that some people do know about us, some people don't know about us, some people see the stall, want to come up and know what we're about. Some people don't like metal and want to come up and ask what it's about. I remember when we wrote the article for Mad in America, I'd found that don't like metal at all, and said it's amazing what metal gives you, and understood what I got from it, which meant a lot, because it was meant I'd done my job. I'd done something on the page that explained that to someone else. It's like, this is what metal music has given me, not just me. It's like
Absolutely.
You've got Bloodstock, you've got Download, you've got Arctangent, where you've got these festivals where thousands upon thousands of metalheads go every year to go. And if you don't go to these things, they don't happen. So as you're part of a community of people that fill these venues, because without us going to these gigs, they don't happen.
Absolutely.
And it is quite amazing that when you sort of step back, and sometimes at gigs where you sort of step back, have a look about the room, and you think, without people like us going, this doesn't happen. And it's quite amazing, especially when a band acknowledges that and treats their fans and their crowd well. Because I think some bands seem to forget, you are there because we put you there. You didn't bring us here, we brought you here. You're here because we're a fan of your music. You're here because we've bought tickets. It's not the other way about. The fans give them the most amazing life ever, where they get to tour the world and play these amazing places to amazing crowds. And I think there's nothing more satisfying than when a band recognises that and brings the fans in to make you feel a part of it, because it's all a big circle. We're all part of the same community, and a lot of bands started as fans. They are
Absolutely.
still just fans of music. And it's just an incredible thing to be a part of, especially. I think sometimes, a lot of the times, I've neglected. I've wanted to get to know Scottish bands more, and it's amazing to get to see some Scottish bands do well. Even to see a band, Bleed From Within, that are from Glasgow, get to go on a tour supporting Slipknot. It's amazing to see bands from Glasgow, from where I'm from, go and do these amazing things, because the world is a small place. And it's great to see the Scottish metal community getting out there, because there are some fantastic bands coming out of Scotland, and I think sometimes we don't get the acknowledgement we deserve.
Absolutely. I said that I just reviewed the Catalysis. I don't review albums anymore. It would take something special, but I got the Catalysis album, and I said they're flying the flag of Scottish metal. And I think it's on a huge high at the moment. The scene up here in Scotland in the last couple of years, I can't remember it being so good. But yeah,
I think Metal to the Masses and Bloodstock's got a lot to do with that as well. That's something that before I'd went to Bloodstock, I loved, that they've got this stage where they get bands up and down the country that get to go and have a chance to play a stage. And I love that you get to see these little bands play this big, massive festival. And I think that's a key thing about Bloodstock, that Bloodstock is for the fans, by the fans, I think. So it's incredible to see that.
Yeah. But we've just had a wee message there, and I think that's a good time to end the interview. I will edit the video over the next day or so, and hopefully I'll have the article out for the weekend. Help spread the word about heavy metal therapy. Matt, you can send me links of all your Facebook pages and stuff like that, and we'll work together and we'll help spread the word. that there are people out there that are willing to listen to anybody that has a mental health issue. So absolute pleasure talking to you guys, and I know it won't be the last time either.
Yeah,
We've just
thank
got
you
to give
so
a big
much.
shout out to Tony Douglas, because
Yeah,
he made this happen.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
the weird and wonderful way that this world of mine has become small. He's made this happen, and I wouldn't be doing this without this amazing community. So thanks, Tony, and thank you, Ricky, for giving us this platform.
yeah, thank you, mate.
No worries at all.
Absolute
No worries
legend.
at all. Thanks very much, guys. Thank you. Take care.